Hello and welcome back to our podcast. This is the third of our podcasts after the launch one. We had the one with Bassett and I, and now we've got this one with Jordan. So Jordan's joining us today. Jordan is the CEO of PTSL, Probe Test Solutions Limited, which is an electronics company based in Hamilton. So it is really good to have you with us today. We're really glad that you've been able to come. And like you said a minute ago, we're just going to have a blether and we're going to see where that goes this afternoon. So why don't you start and tell us a wee bit about yourself and how you've got to where you are just now?
Cool. So yeah, my name's Jordan McKellar, as Shona says. I am from the Wishaw area. So I grew up in Wishaw. Fairly ordinary background, I think. Bassett just mentioned a minute ago about ordinary people like us. So Shona and I were just talking with a couple of CEOs for Wishaw. Trying to find our way here. But yeah, so I grew up with kind of rather humble background. No airs or graces about me. Worked in Motorola at Musical Bride, and I actually met Shona's husband, Gordon, who Gordon and I met very randomly at a church men's breakfast. So I turned up at a men's breakfast. The table, everybody I knew was full. At the table were the folks that I didn't know. There was a couple of empty seats randomly sat next to Gordon, who's Shona's husband. So Gordon and I, through our faith, actually started a business, which was a little over 12 years ago now, and grew that from building probe cards at the kitchen table, probe cards for testing electronic chips. Grew it from building probe cards at the kitchen table to the scale the company's at today, dealing internationally, where the majority of our business is outside of the UK shores. But we always had a kind of key focus on creating safe and sustainable jobs in Scotland. It had been an area where a lot of electronics companies had departed from over the years, and building a business where we could create safe and sustainable jobs in Scotland was a primary goal for us, and doing that in a way that was honouring of our faith and respectful to the people in those jobs, and again just trying to give them that safe environment where they're not looking over their shoulder every 5 minutes waiting on a tap at the shoulder and being ejected. So yeah, that's the story of where I got to in business, I guess.
So that's really interesting. So all the way through that story, you haven't mentioned anything about profits in terms of business.
No. I mean, we certainly are a profit-making business, so we're not a non-profit, but we do certainly make a decent profit, but we do some giving from that as well. So Healing for the Heart is a partner organisation that we support through our giving, and we technically tithe out of the business, so giving 10% of our profit away.
Yep.
Sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less, but that's the goal is around that number. And certainly Healing for the Heart's been a great charity to partner with, and then just watching their own story as they've grown and developed through that as well.
But it sounds as if, even in the way that you structure how you answer that question, that people are much more important than actually even the profits are, it sounds like.
No, I would say it's very much, the company's very much got a kind of family feel to it, so certainly everyone everyone needs to work to get the place going. It certainly feels like everyone's part of it and part of this big family as we get it going. But also very aware of our social responsibility, and obviously the last week or two is a time where I've seen several members of staff kind of really stepping up themselves and actually contributing to support, in terms of some of the world affairs going on, and also kind of nudging the company in that direction as well, which is always good to see. It's good to see that they know that's there is an available support mechanism in using it.
And so that culture of family and that culture of well-being sounds like it's something that's really important to you.
Yeah, it is. And as the company's grown, it can get a little bit harder to maintain that as you have more and more people. And we've always been a very social company. We'd have a lot of social nights, and COVID really prevented that from happening at a time where we were recruiting a lot of new staff. So we're only just getting back into doing some of these social nights and trying to drive that. But yeah, it's very important to us, and certainly the well-being of the staff. Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a bit about this whole idea of well-being in staff? What influences you? What motivates you to want to do that stuff?
I think just looking at the industry historically, so the electronics industry in Scotland historically has not been great at taking care of its staff. It's been a very low-cost place to make folks redundant. So, as soon as there's any kind of wobble in the industry, everyone's kind of bums to the wall and kind of what's happening here. So actually creating that environment and actually bucking the trend, I probably get more pleasure out of that than some of the big business ones that we have, and actually creating that environment for the staff and creating somewhere where they feel safe and they clearly care about what they do.
Yep. Healing for the Heart provides a service for you guys or for you as an employer and for your business in general, where folks can actually get support with their well-being or with their mental health or whatever. So I wonder, is there a journey for you in the midst of all of that as well, in terms of why that's important for you?
Yeah, so I would say, my brother, I grew up in a house where my brother was absolutely tortured and still is today with mental health and bad thoughts. He's on the phone 2 or 3 times a day. We'll see if we manage to get in the interview without him phoning, but he'll call kind of really concerned that he's going to die, and he's just been tortured with it all his life, and that's an extreme case, but as Healing for the Heart quite often say, you've got mental health as well as physical health, and it's very important to take care of both. And I think for us, partnering with Healing for the Heart was to give a safe and secure place. I come back to that safe and secure thing, but a safe and secure place for our staff to go to and have a conversation. And the agreement that we've got with Healing for the Heart is that, we don't get to know anything other than there's a person in the programme. So we don't get to find out who that is, what they're in it for. Yeah. It literally is, they'll engage, and we pay a retainer to have very fast access. And I know of one case recently where the person approached me before contacting Healing for the Heart, and it was a very, very rapid access to that. It was someone that was looking for the support, and it's just amazing to have that. But for me, it's having that safe and secure place where, it's not about what they need to speak to Healing for the Heart for. It's about making sure there's a mechanism there that supports staff and supports people through whatever it is they're going through. And that's a fantastic service for us to be able to offer staff. And I hope that's something that becomes, not that you're willing for people to need to use a service like that, but I know it is a safe and secure place for me to come in, and I would be happy for more people to engage in it. As I say, people have mental health as well as physical health, and that maintaining that mental health is something that, certainly for me, even personally, it's something that we all, almost shy away from ever talking about. Yep. It's great to have that there.
Can you see things like things in the workplace that actually affect people's mental health? I don't mean necessarily in PTSL, but obviously you've worked in other places as well. So people come with all sorts of stuff. So sometimes the stuff that affects their mental health in the workplace is something that they've brought in from outside because there's something going on at home or there's something going on in their life in general. But can you see things that happen in the workplace and practices in the workplace that actually impact people's mental health, either for good or for bad?
Yeah, I would say certainly our business is very, very fast paced and very demanding. The customers have got very high expectations of us, very fast moving, and that is, I guess, something that could be putting pressure on people as well. Yeah, that is even just the very pace of it would be something I would be very conscious of, and making sure that we don't ever end up tipping someone into a kind of stressful situation with being as busy and as high paced as it is. And also even just the working hours, sometimes it's quite antisocial hours because we're dealing with the US and dealing with Asia, more so than even Europe now. So that is, again, something that will eat into people's personal time and could, interfere with that work-life balance, which, you put everything in place you can to make sure that's not the case. But I know that is definitely a potential cause. But yeah, both stuff internally and externally, I would say. Yeah.
Yep. How do you look after your mental health?
For me, I would say my mental health and my physical health are quite closely linked. So in the early years, as you well know, I was travelling constantly. I still do travel a lot. We just had that conversation. But I was doing a lot of travelling. I wasn't doing any exercise. I was eating a terrible diet. We were having to eat out of chippies and stuff and stay in 1999 travel lodges to start with. But now I would say what I do is, if I find if I'm not physically exercising, I would say my mental health will suffer for that. I need to be out and physically active and working that. So that's definitely something I would say.
Yep.
I link the two of them very closely.
Yep. And that's something, that's something that we've talked about in Healing for the Heart, in terms of that big link between your physical health and your mental health, and the two of them really being closely tied together. And if one's impacted, the other one's impacted. And so actually looking after both is a really good way to looking after one is a really good way to look after both, if you like.
Yeah.
And investing in, I suppose, you said already, you partner with us and you obviously use the services here. We know that there are lots and lots of employee assistance programs out there. There are big names in employee assistance that are doing this all the time, that have got massive infrastructure and all the rest of it. Why would you partner with an organisation like ours rather than one of the big insurance providers or somebody like that?
So I think one of the big things is obviously knowing the people behind it. Personally, that obviously helped me, and knowing that the goal when we talk about profit wasn't about profit. It was about seeing people through and providing a service that was, all focused around the person receiving the service and not with anything else in mind. Even as we walk around this building, it's great to see that, and even hear the organisation that are supporting you guys with the building here as well. It's fantastic. But I would say that for me, and having this focus on the service that's being provided and on the person receiving the service, I have great confidence that there's no other agenda. That is exactly what it's focused around, and for me that allows me to have that confidence that I don't need to hear about what's happening with the staff or what's going on. I know that they're receiving a top-notch service, and that whatever they're accessing the service for is going to be there'll be a more positive outcome on the other end of it. It's not something I really need to even give a second thought to, which is good.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the big things for us that we've been really conscious of, that we talk about all of our clients not being a number but actually being a name, that there's a name behind every number for our clients. And I suppose we would want that for our, our EAP partners or our business partners or whatever, that we actually want you to know that there's a face behind the organisation. You're not just dealing with a cold organisation, that you can actually pick up the phone, and whether, obviously, we know each other, but even if I wasn't here, that you could actually pick up the phone because you know who you're going to ask for, because there's somebody that you know that you're going to speak to. And I think that's really important. I think the face of the thing is really important, to know that there's somebody. It's not just somebody that answers the phone, but there is a person that you have a relationship with, that you can actually have a conversation with on the other end.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And having met a few of the staff as well, I've found them all to be of a similar ilk in that regard, and that they are very selfless people, and very focused in providing that service and doing a good job.
So we're just about out of time. You'll be glad to hear we're just about out of time. But what would you say then to other folks in business, particularly folks in small and medium enterprises? Lots of the great big kind of multinational companies, they have got huge kind of insurance policies in place, and private insurance and all the rest of it, that does do a good job in terms of what they're looking for their EAP programs. But lots of the small and medium businesses can't afford that kind of service, or don't want to look at it because it's too big and impersonal. So what would you say to folks that are thinking in that kind of size of companies, kind of size of PTSL? What would you say to them in terms of what they should be looking for in partnership stuff?
I would say looking for an organisation like Healing for the Heart that is a not-for-profit organisation that is very, very focused on the service that they're providing, Yeah, I would encourage anyone to engage with Healing for the Heart or a similar organisation in that size, as opposed to the big corporates. I mean, we do have, private healthcare. We're trialling a process of that just now and implementing it initially at management, but the intention is to roll that out for all staff if it goes well. But that wouldn't replace this in any way, shape or form, because I think this is almost far more important than even the physical stuff. I think that is available there. But for me, having somewhere where, staff, and COVID's been a great example of where it's really challenged people's mental health. I think we were open all through. We were deemed an essential business by several of our customers, and we worked through, so everyone was quite busy. But I heard an advert in the radio one day, and it was kind of coaxing someone out the door of their house. If you're really worried about leaving the house, and it was trying to kind of talk, almost counsel someone over the radio, and convincing them it was safe to leave the house. And I thought, wow, if they need to put that on the radio, that's obviously a big deal, right? And yeah, certainly COVID has pushed, I would say, the demand certainly here up.
Yep, fabulous. Thank you so much for coming and joining us this afternoon. I know you're a really busy guy.
Thanks for having me.
And we are going to stop now. If you're interested, and if you're watching this and you're interested in talking to us about what we can do as far as EAP provision is concerned, or business partnerships, then get in touch with us and we'd be really happy to talk to you about it. But for now, we are signing off, saying goodbye and saying that we'll see you on the next one, where we've got somebody else who will be just like us joining us in the seat.